call the meeting to open at 3:32.
Yeah, it's alphabetical in
Oh,
there, so.
fine.
At 3:32?
Yep. And the first thing is to accept the minutes, and I know I already read them, and I already
Yeah,
don't have a
all right.
problem
I
with
just took it
them.
out.
Yeah, that's
To put
fine,
on
yeah,
top.
look, yeah,
Okay,
that's fine.
right.
Are you all set with the minutes, Ray?
I
You looked at
believe
them?
so.
Yeah.
She said she made,
Yep.
I did all the corrections that came over.
I doubt that there's anything that,
Well, it's funny,
'Cause
because
I've
that
been
guy,
through 'em.
I saw Don, he said his name was Don, and then I went back to look, and he said, people call him DJ. I'm going, oh, it says Dan Johnson, so now, I thought I had that wrong, so I was like, oh, forget it.
So you had Dave Johnson in there.
oh, Dave.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, who's?
Yeah, Don Makowski, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm good with the minutes.
Okay,
So
so,
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes from the March 12th, 2024 meeting.
I'll second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, now we're gonna go over the budgets. I think the first one that put in the top of your pile, if I did it right, is the highway.
Yes.
And he,
Yes.
he fixed the 25,000 to the 28 for the snow and ice.
Okay.
And so that was that correction.
An updated one for me?
No,
Okay.
I'll make a copy after.
Alright.
Give me a note, I'll just write on it.
Oh, let's see here.
Okay. Council on Aging. She sent us the correct, a new budget with the 1,200
Oh.
added
Let me
in.
just see what the differences that she did.
Yeah, is there,
This is the new one we just got.
yes.
Yeah,
Oh, this is your new one?
This is my new
Oh,
one.
okay.
yeah, those are the
All right.
new ones, so
Okay.
I just wanted
I
to
just don't have
put
my
that
old.
there.
That's what I thought that was. Yeah,
Yeah.
all right, here's the old one.
Did you get a copy of the new one, too?
Yeah.
Where the total 16,446?
16
Mhm.
of. she updated.
Oh, okay.
No,
That's it?
What, well, it was 16.3, now it's 16, it was,
164,46, I don't know what the last number is.
I
Well,
don't
no,
either.
this is what she gave me.
Yeah, I know, hold on.
163.6 and change
no, this is the new one.
163,672.
was the old one.
163 is the old
That's
one,
right.
right? This
Yeah.
is the old one.
All right, I need to add this up in.
I don't know what, yeah.
Yeah, hold on, let me just do this. Yeah, because it looks like the last number is missing.
I mean, you can't even read this. I mean, this is not acceptable.
What do you want, everything?
Yeah.
Oh, you can't read the 24, you can't read the comparison at all.
No.
Then I will just enter it myself and I'll reprint it, not a big deal. Should be 164,462 at the end. So,
I don't even have, I mean, that's not even,
I know it's not, so I'm going to,
I mean, she just gave this one to me.
well, she emailed me this one. So I am going to put these numbers in my worksheet and make 4 copies. Oh, that's for you.
Yep, I know.
Are we calling these any of these
Right
in
now.
or no?
No.
Okay.
We're pretty much set.
Okay.
We've got Adam, and I think that's going to be the end.
So there's the custodian and van driver position that's gonna get merged now, okay? I don't know if you wanna talk about it or you don't.
Are you talking on Council of Aging?
Yep.
Yes,
Still? Okay.
yep.
mhm.
So I made the suggestion that the position get merged so that we can, there was last year we hired a van driver and then the van driver couldn't get his certification
Right, I think you
because
said, you told us this.
there was no
yeah,
classes
last week.
available. So if he can't drive the van,
Mhm,
then
yeah.
he's just gonna be
Mhm.
sitting around. So if we have him also do custodial duties as well, so that would be to combine the position together. And would also save us on, liability insurance, having an additional staff person.
Mhm. You can't really tell where they went up a lot.
I'm gonna
I
redo,
can't-
I'm gonna
I can't
redo
even
it.
see
I'll
that.
Oh,
redo
can
it.
you read it? Oh, all right.
What?
Not now.
Yeah.
24 is hard to read.
Which one? Yeah, no, I'm gonna redo it. I'll redo it.
Oh, redo it. I thought you said
And
read it.
and I'll
too.
print
Okay,
it.
that's no
I'll put her
problem.
numbers in, and
Okay,
then it'll be,
Perfect.
yeah, because, well, the 24, so if you add that with the van driver, that total was 26 something, and now it's going down to 17,129
We were able to save money by doing that.
by combining the two.
Yes,
But you'll
budget
see
still
it.
didn't go
I'll do
down
it.
that much.
I'll do it for next week.
Okay.
No, where was the increases, though? That's where I'd like to see. Looks like an increase in expenses of 3,000.
What, 1,200 is for the suppression,
Okay.
and,
2,000 is salary.
yeah, the salary, that's the thing.
Oh, that's
Maintenance.
2,000.
Because of, doesn't she have more inspections or something?
Yes,
To do with
yes.
inspections.
What do you mean maintenance for what?
Wait, I'll tell you, it's in the
From
last-
3,500 to 5,500, this one right there.
I'm sorry, I can't read it, it's so
Yeah, I know,
faded.
well,
I'm sorry, what does it say?
the maintenance,
Okay. Okay, so that went up, the
2,000,
expense went up,
3,000.
3,000.
And 1,200 of this is,
Okay. Okay. All right,
so I'll redo it and we print 4 copies.
okay.
And that way it will be clearer. Okay, animal control. So what she did is she lowered her, yeah, you need a copy of that too.
Yeah,
That one, I don't know how she sent it, but it didn't come through.
the one that I got was very small.
So she lowered her expense by $4,000 to 1, because what she wants to do is to hire an assistant. So, but that's an article at town meeting.
Now, isn't she a part-time person? Or is she a full-time person?
She's not a full-time, she's a stipend person.
Okay.
She's an appointed official.
Yeah, that's all. And that's the reason for the, that, but there will be an article coming.
Okay.
Okay, West Warren Library, I got the answers.
Give me 1 second.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right, so you get a copy. Did you get a copy?
Yes, I have a copy.
That's right, because she sent it to you, because we couldn't communicate. My PC wouldn't take an email from her. I
Oh, that's weird.
emailed West Warren Library, 2 different places, and it wouldn't go through. So, the question that we had was on the payroll for the 63,467,
Mhm.
okay? If you look at last year's,
Can you give me the number for last year's? I hate that she didn't do a comparison.
I can do that too.
I know, but I'll look.
I will do it.
I'm not
I mean,
putting that
that's why
on
we give
you.
out the forms to all
Hey,
the
but
departments,
peop-
right?
Don't even get me going, Jim. Don't even start. Okay,
Right.
so,
What was the payroll for last year?
okay. It was 61,580. So what she had done is she added the taxes in. See, when we added up the payroll, we say, well, where's the other money? That's for the payroll taxes. So she includes that amount. So if you add up the director wages, the assistant, the
Mhm.
clerk, and the payroll taxes, you come up to that 63,000. You see, last year, this is what she did. See, is 46,
Right.
but she only added the salaries. She didn't put this number
Oh,
in.
okay,
When you
okay.
add that in,
Got it,
it would have
okay.
been 61,580.
Okay.
So
Let me
now
show-
it's
let me show Ray.
63.
Let me show Ray. So last year, she had the taxes not included in that number.
Right.
Okay.
So it went up 61,580. $1,887. That's what the increase was in the payroll. Okay. On the utilities. The year before was 2,100.
And the increase is 25?
Uh-huh.
Yes. Because the price had gone up. Then in the supplies. I'm looking at the wrong one. 61,580, this is last year's. That's for 25. Okay. So for supplies, it's 2,200. She had 27,43.45 before for last year,
27?
43.45. So she's cutting that back
Okay.
to 22. So
1,800, right?
this is the newest one here.
I don't know, I'm looking at this one, I didn't get a revised one on West Warren. I have it at 1,800 for
But
supplies.
you sent it
No.
to me. You didn't print it.
It's 2,200.
It's 2,200?
Right, that's the one you forwarded to me.
Okay, I didn't know there was a change, I thought you just needed a copy of it. Oh. So receive for 24.
What's luck?
I didn't realize there was a change to it.
I think we had this one last meeting.
No, we had this one last meeting.
This is some West Warren stuff, 127.32.
You're right, okay.
That's what-
You're right, Jim.
Yeah.
The old one was, the new one is different. Okay. So we got a new furnace in the other library, in Warren.
Oh, really? Oh,
The furnace broke down.
okay.
So we haven't we put out.
How much?
I don't remember offhand. But we got some money came in for it in the bank, local bank and stuff.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah. It's good, it was done last week.
Well, thank you. When she had sent it to me, I didn't know it was a revised one.
That's fine. And then the programming. Last year, she had 2390, so she's dropping that to 1,000. She said that they do a lot of, sure, raising money.
Mhm.
So she wanted to lower that to help offset the other costs. So that's what.
I'm just, I mean, I don't see an $8,000 increase on, you know,
On what?
$5,500 increase. And she's got 7,000, almost 8,000.
Right, so we're, 736, that doesn't, 11,000, that doesn't, projected income, something changed there by $900. That doesn't even make any sense. So last year's budget was 109,305.
109? This says last year's budget, 24 was 102.
I don't know, I've got 109 here.
That was on, amount requested, 109,732. See this?
That's Warren Library.
That's West Warren Library.
Is it? Oh,
Yeah, she's saying, I know, the amount requested is 110, and it was 102, because this was,
102 is what was, right, okay.
yeah,
And now she's requesting 110.
that's what she said. I'm gonna need to print that, West Warren, and,
I'm just saying the differences so far we have don't equal $8,000.
no, I know, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Okay, so those two I'll put in, and then we'll see where we stand. And then we'll do Pathfinder. Jim went to the meeting, if he wants to say anything. There was an increase.
There was about a 10%, a little over 10% increase for Pathfinder, which equated to about a $45,000 increase over last year for the assessment.
45,000?
Approximately, a little over
Yeah,
45.
I'm trying to find it.
It's the last page.
Oh,
It's an opportunity, the students that go to that school obviously have an opportunity to learn, various technical trades. We currently have about 45 students enrolled at Pathfinder. That's the page right there, last section.
This is the page.
We are,
It's like the third from the back.
Okay.
we are have an agreement with them as part of our agreement. We can, have the option of sending students there. Students have the ability to go there.
This one, Charlton?
No, this is the one in Palmer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Charlton is Bay
Charlton.
Path.
Bay Path, right,
Yep.
okay.
We don't do Bay Path.
Can I just see which page you're on? Mine's not colored, that's why I'm,
Yeah, that should be the one down at the bottom. It says fiscal year 24 and 25.
got it.
See Warren, 441, 706 to 487.
Got it.
Increase. That's,
It
We have
was,
45 students go there?
yeah, 45. Projected next year also for 45. It's there was increases primarily across the board for all the participating towns that are part of the district. They're dealing with some of the same budget busters as Quabog, utility costs.
Where went down?
Most of them went up, yeah.
Well, maybe they have less, they might have less students going.
Yeah.
Probably,
might be.
yeah, probably related to student count.
I think our increase was right in line with,
Everybody else's.
pretty much.
Change, yeah, Ware went down 6. Minus 6.
Yeah, we're
says at the
third-
top.
Yeah, but like you
third
said, it might have
lowest.
been, might have been the number of students too.
Third lowest, yeah.
Yep. You know, you can take them home and, look at it, and I'll put it in,
If the board has any specific questions, Superintendent Duda is always accessible to come out to a meeting.
Okay. I think it was a huge thing that the superintendent of schools came to this meeting.
that's Quabog, everybody's got Quabog, we already looked at that. And we all got the revenue, right?
I think so,
Yeah, so we made copies last week. I think you went in and made copies of it. The one page. Yep. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
I can share it with you.
Quabog, yeah.
Oh,
I think they're
I'm-
two of the same,
I-
yeah.
I've got that,
Yeah.
yeah. I just don't have it in front of me, that's all.
Okay.
Okay, so the next one up is Mr. Adam.
Okay.
You want a copy of it, do you have your copy, Jim?
Mhm, mhm.
Okay. You wanna make your copy,
Nobody has
I don't know if he brought his, did you bring yours?
it? I don't have mine in front of me, but I don't need a copy, I'll just
Okay.
look at
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody.
There we are.
So overall, as it stands right now, the budget as it sits in front of you represents about a 4.5% increase in FY '24. That is without the addition of another full-time position, which we're hoping to get. I can certainly run down the list for you.
Hang on one
for
second,
a
I'm
line
sorry,
item. Yeah,
hang
that's
on one
okay.
second.
Sure.
I can't find it in here.
It's got his letterhead in the
That-
first.
That's the very first one you got on the
I thought I
top.
pulled it
Yeah,
out.
I-
Yep.
Yeah.
Going
like, that
out.
looks
I
like-
gotta go looking for it in the back.
Thought I was doing
Got
you,
it.
thought I was doing you a favor.
All good. Okay.
Next page.
So just kind of running down between FY '24 and FY '25, the very first line item, fire department salary, that is the call firefighter salary. That remain the same for FY '25. That's the 1 year, the one lump sum that's paid per year, once a year to the call firefighters. The only other time it comes out of that account is if we have a special detail or a real crazy call where they're there for hours and hours. We will pay them hourly for those random few things that happens, but generally speaking, each firefighter gets a 1 year stipend, usually in June. So that's staying the same. Fire department expense, I put it up just $2,000 just to adjust for some utility costs. Last year it was the same, but this year I'm definitely seeing a little bit more expenditure in that budget, so that I proposed a $2,000 increase from $47,000 to $49,000. That's the main expense account that encompasses pretty much all fire-related expenses. Vehicle maintenance, I returned that to $25,000 where it was in FY '23. I had cut that by $2,000 last year to work with a full-time position, but unfortunately, a couple of our main vehicles for the department, they are aging. I feel much more comfortable at the $25,000 realm. I mean, even a couple of tires for those vehicles is a couple of $1,000. So, and we do have to replace some tires this year. Training went from $4,000 back to $5,000. I had cut $1,000 out of that, but I'd like to restore that because we are doing more training. Personal protective equipment, I added in $3,500 to that to account for the potential new position. However, I wanted to discuss today because I've literally in just last couple days, I've been waiting for this to come out, but we do have 4 proposed call firefighter positions that may be opening for students that are coming out of the program at the high school, so, which is a good thing for us. So there are 4 applications out there. It looks like all of them will be going through, so I will have to account for them for gear, even though they are junior firefighters and then they're recruits. So
Gotta protect them.
I wanted to either propose that we leave it the same in here, and I propose an article at the special town meeting to cover that, for those, or whether or not we wanted to incorporate them in the budget. It will just look like a much bigger increase in the budget if we do that, but I kind of wanted to wait till we met today to see what the committee and maybe what the board would like to do with that. But I do know there's 4 other positions, so you can roughly figure
What-
about
If you included the 4,
$3,500.
another 3,500?
No, it would be times 4, 35 times 4.
35 times
Yeah, it's
4,
it's
so-
about between 3,500 and 4,000 to outfit a firefighter head to
Okay,
toe with
okay.
everything. So, so you'd have to multiply that additionally by another 4 in order to
Mhm.
get there. So I'm guessing around $16,000, somewhere in there, would cover all 4 of them at the end, so.
I would think that would probably be better to do an article
On the
separate.
special.
I mean, well, they're gonna ask you one way or the other.
Okay,
When,
so-
because when the budget goes to them, they're gonna see from 5 to 16.
So, I mean, I would be comfortable restoring that back down to 5,000, so it matches across the board and adding that
What do you
in at
think,
the
Jim?
end. It's up to you.
Add another
You're gonna do
Personal
restore,
protective equipment.
what down to 5,000?
So you'll see that it increased.
Personal protection.
You're right here.
Yeah, so I mean, knowing that we have potentially 5 positions coming in, a
Mhm.
proposed full-time position and 4 call positions,
Mhm.
I could return that to 5,000, which
Yeah.
basically covers helmets and gloves if we need them, if they get
Mhm.
ripped
Or
and
you'd
everything,
add-
or,
At
and then,
16 more.
and do that all at a special town meeting.
Or
Yeah.
at
And
16,000
so what
more.
would be the article total?
I'd have to do the math, but roughly.
35 times 5.
Yeah,
3,500
35 times 5,
3,500 times
basically,
5.
so,
17.
yeah, so you're right in that
14.
range.
So
to do
what do
that.
you
So that would be an
think?
article overall at the
Well,
special.
I'm asking him what he
Yeah.
thinks,
Yeah.
because he's gonna advise the selectmen, so what do you think, Jim?
Do the article,
So
put it
what's-
down, put it
so-
down to 5.
Okay.
All right, so
Do an article.
$5,000, it would reduce the, excuse me,
Okay.
$3,500, it would reduce that line item.
Okay.
Mhm,
Okay.
mhm.
Health and wellness, I kept at $3,000. I will have to pay for these newer people to come on eventually, but even with, it's about $500 per physical. So, I mean, that should cover everybody for that line item. I think 3,000 would work in that.
And the potential new hire, full-time?
Yes, so basically, yeah, I mean, that should be about $2,500 total, so, I mean, leave me about 500 for one more person if they
Okay.
choose to come on, but I would think 3,000 would be okay. Ambulance expenses, again, I increased that by 2,000, just like I did the fire expenses, just for additional utility costs and the rise in different supplies for the ambulance. That is the main line item for our ambulance purchases. Ambulance call payroll, I kept that the same at $58,000. That's right in the kind of the ballpark of where we are for call volume right now. EMS shift hourly pay, that was based on 24 hours like we have now. It's $20,034, would give us 24 hours worth of part-time coverage as well.
Wait, say that again.
It would give us, like, right now, we have 24 hours of part-time, or I should say per diem coverage for open shifts.
Mhm.
That would basically stay in line with what we currently are, what we're currently trying to do.
The
you know.
$3,000 increase
Yeah,
would.
so the goal, and my goal is to eventually, I know the police department's looking at a position, they end up going up to 10 full-time. What I'm trying to work towards in the next couple of years is going to basically about 8 positions, which would allow us to run 24/7 around the clock. Right now,
Mhm.
we don't do that, and our call volume has just risen to the point where we're really at that point now to look at different options. There's a grant out there I'm looking at possibly applying to, but basically, we don't run anyone in the stations from 11 o'clock at night till 7 o'clock in the morning. But getting call EMTs to cover those hours is increasingly harder.
Oh, yeah.
They don't want to come in for $50 to do a call and then be tired the rest of the day. So
Mhm.
we're kind of looking at trying to get to a staffing where we can run 2 people around the clock 24 hours a day.
And so how many staff would that entail?
That would, it would be 8 full-time total. I would not be factored in, so it'd be 9 total, 8 full-time firefighter EMTs that would run different 24-hour shifts around the clock in order to staff all the time without having to worry about call positions and, obviously there'd be a part-time position, someone would have to come in to fill up, someone was on vacation or something, but generally speaking, that would keep me from having to do a unique schedule every week and ask can you do this one this week? Can you do this one this
Yeah.
week? It's now staffed 24/7.
Okay, so 8 full-time, you're at what now?
Right now, we have 5.
Okay.
So this proposed position would bring us to a sixth.
No, I
And I
understand.
still wouldn't have enough to staff around the clock, but it's another step in the right direction, and I'm hoping over the
And
next few
then-
years, we can explain to people, this is where we're trying to get to.
So your goal is to have 8 eventually?
8 eventually, so that we can.
And this brings us up to 6?
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
So then the ambulance call payroll would eventually go away.
Eventually start to dwindle down and go away, that's correct. But I mean, right now, I can't cut it, like I cut it last year, you know, when we talked about it, but it really ended up hurting more than it helped because we're so far behind with staff as it is. We're still playing, that we desperately need the part-time, and we're gonna need the part-time till we get to the full-time staffing. It's just the way it is. The next one down, ambulance training payroll, that stayed the same, $7,500. My salary, $88,000, and then the stipend after that, it's just a regular contract increase. The small increase for the FY '25 wages brought the full-time firefighter's salary to $248,890. That's not including the proposed position, this is just what the voters would see prior to the article going forward. Overtime, I did put an increase in there, there's no doubt about it that is gonna have to be something that's gonna have to go up a little bit because, you know, I have several firefighters been on for years now and they're reaching different steps, which entitles them to 3, 4, and 5 years of vacation, it's 5 weeks of vacation per year, so it's getting a little bit harder to cover those, so, you know, definitely gonna, you know, using more overtime. Right now, I have a full-time person out, so I'm exhausting overtime right now. I'm trying to contain as much as I can. I'm covering many shifts myself, but, you know, just having one person out is really tough to do on top of everything else. EMT stipend stayed the same at $61,200. That's another thing that, you know, at some point, if we were to convert to full-time around-the-clock coverage, a lot of that is gonna go away, if not the whole thing. So, you know, there will be some savings as we move into that, because if you don't need call people around the clock, you're not gonna need an EMT stipend. So, you know, there are some moving parts to this that will get
Eventually.
better eventually over the next few years if we can get this plan in motion. Training, we went back to 9,000. As you can see, it shifts from 7,000, 9,000, 7,000, 9,000. The reason for that is because every other year we do our EMT refresher, and we have to have an instructor come in, and it costs a lot more to run the program. It's to make sure everybody gets their certifications due. So I've been fluctuating back and forth depending on each odd year we do the EMT refresher. Billing and reporting, this one I added a few more. This is that one line item that I've been reporting to the selectmen that we're probably gonna be overrun this year, and I'm gonna have to do a transfer of some kind. This is the line item that we pay Comstar that does all of our ambulance billing outside of the department. So what's happening is our call volume's going through the roof, so they're processing more calls, and they get paid a percentage based on the calls they process. So as our numbers continue to go up, their fees are going up with those numbers. I mean, they're still very, a lot of towns use them, you know, they're a very well-known, reputable place that does it, so, you know, but I know right now I'm behind, so I anticipate the 22,000 should cover for next year's costs, based on what I'm seeing from this year. And that's a line item, again, that's out of my control. With the next one, the advanced life support, this is one that it's gonna fluctuate depending on the severity of the call, so, last year, FY '23, we're at 40,000, FY '24, we ended up being at 65,000 because we had a $15,000 article that went on the special town meeting to supplement that, which I'm working through right now. I anticipate that cost to be exactly the same next year because I end up coming back to ask for more money anyway. So I kept that as kind of the standard platform as to where we are. It does not mean that we may end up having $40,000 worth billed out. The problem is that if we have another paramedic that jumps on from another community, they may or may not bill us. That's not on us, that's on them. Sometimes they don't bill us, sometimes they do. So I encompass everything that we could be billed for. So there's no overages, we don't have any stuff that, you know, doesn't get encumbered and then we have a problem at the end. So I go for the bigger cost because this is what I know could be coming in for bills. If they don't bill us, that's on them, it's not on us. So I kept it the same as last year. Equipment testing, I put back to the original 5,000. That encompasses all of our testing for our ladders, for our pump testing, that kind of stuff. Anything that has to do with a company coming in, a vendor coming in to do, you know, required UL listed tests and stuff to make sure our ladders are certified and things like that, or CBAs or air packs. Radio and pager equipment, I kept at $2,000 because again, most of our stuff is brand new or pretty new from that radio project and everything, so I don't anticipate having to buy anything other than little minor batteries and stuff like that, so I kept that minimal. And then finally, the last one is the emergency management. That is actually, that budget is controlled by me. However, that's under Jim McKeon. So he's the emergency manager, but years ago, they put his budget under the fire department. So I manage the budget, but he expends the money. He has asked for a $500 increase in the supplies, and he's asked for a $500 increase for stipend.
Which one is supplies, the five?
Yeah,
The
the
3,000.
20, yeah, and quite honestly, I have no problem with either
Down the
one of them. You know,
Yeah,
I think
They both just say emergency.
it's a
management.
very minimal budget. You know, he buys everything from cones for traffic stuff, and they all go in the container back there. So he manages that. I just sign off on the bills as long as it's appropriate, and they always are. And quite honestly, I mean, I know he does spend a lot of his time doing a lot of different things for the town. So I think that both of them are personally, $1,000 increase for those, I think is reasonable. You know, more than reasonable for what the town gets out of it. So, if you flip to the next page, I do have it broken down for firefighter EMT that's currently on, full-time, with their steps and everything to come up with that amount that's on the front page. And then finally, on the back page, you do have the proposed full-time position at the minimum, calculated for FY '25, with the total at the bottom, if it was passed at the town meeting, of $860,437, which represents just over a 10% increase with that new position. I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Go ahead, Ray.
Going back to the, you got 4 academy graduates, and so you're gonna have to,
For joining the department,
okay.
yeah.
How is all the gear custom to an individual?
That's correct.
Because what's the likelihood of retaining
Well,
those 4 people for more than a year?
I mean, the reality is, this is what we've been required to do ever since our existence on the fire department. Everybody's gear is custom. They have to be measured correctly. You can't really buy universal sets because, I mean, you know, we certainly have firefighters that take other people's older gear. There's no doubt about it. If they fit them generally and safely, they'll be measured, and if it's within a certain amount of give or take,
Yep.
they will be assigned that gear. It's not like I just throw it in the bin and say it's never gonna get used again. They will be recycled, but we can never count on somebody's gear being available that's gonna fit another person. So, you know, all 4 of the people that are coming on are pretty much average size, which is good. We don't have anybody that's 6'7" and, you know, and needs that. So it certainly will be gear that that will be used, but, you know, generally speaking, you know, when it comes to this very unique gear, it is tailored for that person, you know, with give or take an inch or so.
Yeah, makes sense. How long does equipment last?
10 years.
10 years.
I know we pulled it out of the budget, it's kind of really speaking more towards the article that you'd have, but, so just, we can come back to that in a moment. I'm just, anything else on the budget here? I don't think I have anything else on the, specific on the budget. It's just, it's just a tough situation.
Well, you know,
It's just
unfortunately,
cost.
so
It's not the
Just
place
costs
you
a
want,
lot.
it's not the place you
it
want.
does. I mean, you know, the
Right.
reality is that we're playing catch-up now. We're doing, all fire departments, you know,
Yeah.
we're all, you know, we're all doing a lot more with a lot less nowadays.
Yeah.
So the fire department, you know, just so everyone knows, historically, you know, we had 17 roster slots at each station. Those were, you know, back when, you know, Wright's Mill was open, the pump shop was doing full things, and they were full
Yeah.
all the time. You had to wait for someone to get off to get on. You know, but unfortunately, those days have changed a lot. The trainings have changed a lot, the requirements have changed tremendously, and trying to find just enough people to operate. We're actually one of the luckier departments. I know plenty of departments around us are operating with 5 to 10 firefighters, that's it. You know, we still have about 25. We're trying to retain that number as best we can, and the only way we're going to do this is if we continue that program in the school, to be perfectly honest, because we're going after them and no one's coming to us anymore. So, you know, I definitely want to take advantage of getting these on. We've gained 6 of them in the last couple of years out of that program, so this year having 4 come out, and I mean, that's nothing to say that all 4 of them will make it through. I mean, this is a long training regimen. They have to go through our academy, and then when they turn 18, they have to go through the fire academy. So it's a long, drawn
They
out.
don't start before they're 18, do they?
What's that? I'm
They
sorry?
don't start before they're 18.
Oh, they're on as junior members. We created a
Oh.
junior program. They come out of the school, once they come out of the school program, they go into a junior program. Once they turn 18, they go into the recruit program, which then they go to the actual fire academy. So I have 3 in the recruit program in the fire academy as we speak. That's another reason why we're shorthanded right now, is because 3 of my EMTs, or 2 of them are EMTs, are in the academy right now, and one of my full-time is hurt. So we're really scrambling a
Yeah.
lot at the moment. So, you know, trying to get them all through and certified and, you know, is certainly a challenge. Now, one thing we have talked about before is making this a permanent line item, and maybe that's what you're referring to, Ray, with having more money put in and a regular line item specifically to keep buying gear as these things, you know, because the gear is good for 10 years. It's, you know, it doesn't matter whether it sits in a box, it's never even seen the light of day. If it's over 10 years, even though it's never been touched,
Okay.
it still can't be used, so, legally. So, you know, so we're constantly replacing it. The gear we have, we bought all at once right now. It's about 5 years into its useful life. Now, that is, if it gets torn tomorrow and I have to replace it, it's still torn and wrecked. But generally speaking, hopefully a firefighter once purchased will have that gear for 10 years. And
Yeah.
right now, ours is through its useful life. 5 years through its useful life. So that is one of the capital planning projects that I have on there for
Yeah,
a
that-
few
that's
years
gonna
from
be a
now to
big hit in a
plan.
couple
Yeah,
of
you're
years,
talking
yeah.
about $120,000, I believe, to replace that gear outright.
Now.
And, well, now, and the reality is that last time we did this, by the time we got the gear, it was a year and a half later after we ordered it. So this stuff is very hard to get, and it's on the shelf for a long time. So so you have to plan it, if you don't, you have to plan it to buy it a year and a half to 2 years before
Ahead of time.
it's even gonna come in. So that's why it's on capital planning for the first time. So, you know, that is something I'm constantly watching, but at least we'd be able to, you know, we don't have any extra gear right now, so we would be able to at least purchase gear for, you know, our potential employees. And like I said, none of them are oversized or undersized in the sense that they couldn't be used by someone else coming on a year from now if they decide to come on, so that's a good thing. Yeah, unfortunately, this is, you know, this is a topic that comes up at every chiefs meeting I go to, and I think everyone's collectively ripping their hair out trying to figure out the staffing and the retention solutions to these problems that we're facing. I don't think they're gonna get fixed anytime soon, but like I said, we're one of the luckier of the communities that kind of have a bullpen where we're working with these students when they're younger to try to get them into the system as they come out of school, which is very unique, and it's helping.
Okay, what else did you want to ask, Ray?
I don't really have a question. I mean, it's more of a comment that I- and I'm loath to express it because it's a negative comment in the sense that the fire department budget in the last 6 years is up 78%, which is probably, without going back all 6 years and looking at why that is so, it's probably just the reality of the
Well,
necessity of the job. It's not meant to be a reflection on you
No,
personally.
I understand exactly what you're saying. You know, so the reality is, I think what you're seeing here, and I think what a lot of towns are seeing, is the reality of what we've always done hitting the wall. And what I mean by that is that we are relying more on full-time positions than we ever have. And with the call positions not going away, but lessening, okay?
Yeah.
And having to do a lot more with people because the reality is that years ago, people, they signed up for, especially EMS side is becoming increasingly tough to do, all right? And that is its own thing as it is, because there just aren't as many people. We're in a town, and with a population of 5,000 people, there's literally 10 EMTs in town that are certified right now, 10 out of 5,000 people, okay? So the reality is that there's not a lot of people that are doing this line of work anymore.
Right.
So you're relying on a very small base of people to do 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And my fear is that, and the reason why we are structuring and starting to structure differently is because I know it only takes, any day, 1 or 2 people could come to me and say, hey, listen, I'm sorry, I'm moving out of town. Hey, listen, I got more hours at my job, I can't do that anymore. And all of a sudden, I can't get the ambulance out the door on the 3rd shift, 11 to 7. So that day's coming, there's no doubt about it. I patch as many holes as I can. I go out the door myself. I'll work as an EMT just like anyone else. But the problem is that it's not fixing the issue, okay? The issue is that there's if we're going to continue to do this, we have to find a way to staff it with more reliable service. And the reality is the costs are going through the roof for all the equipment that goes behind it. So while we're just not in the world that we once were when it comes to the equipment and the requirements that call fire departments did. And this is just something that all of us are dealing with collectively. So yes, I mean, if you look at most of the budget increase, they're salary related. There's no doubt about it. Most of it is salary related. Most of it is increases in like advanced life support. That's how it's creeped up over the years because of requirements and state protocols and stuff.
And we save a lot of money, even though you look at the ALS.
So
Okay. And the reason that we have ALS is for the paramedic, okay?
Right.
That's what that is for. By law, they have to call because the patient is that ill.
Yeah.
You want, because this changed quite a few years ago, I think, when Jimmy was still here.
So-
And that
yeah.
you would need a paramedic on 24/7. And that would be outrageously
Yeah.
expensive, so.
So we have, there are other options to consider. There are other things out there. Do we want to go down the road where we look at privatizing with a private ambulance and bringing another company, another place in here or partnering with them? Those are things that I am looking at and watching, but you lose stuff with that. And you lose, obviously you probably lose staff, number one. I mean, we staff because we don't have call firefighters in town during 7 a.m. till roughly 5 o'clock at night. There's no one around that works here anymore, so the only people in town are the full-time firefighters to be able to cover calls. But the other side of it is that you also lose any of that personal, you bring in, I've seen communities that do it. You bring in a private ambulance service, they don't know anybody, they don't care, you know what I mean? They don't, these are not people that have any
Not their
investment into the community whatsoever. They come in and if they respond, they respond, and if they don't, so there's other ways to look at and how we get there. But the requirements of ALS and everything, none of those are going away. If we're gonna run an ambulance service, and quite honestly, I think, if we privatize with an ambulance service, they're gonna come in here and they're gonna say, that's fine, we want a minimum of a $500,000 contract or a $750,000 contract or something. So we're trying to do the best with what we can, but unfortunately, the costs have just gone through the roof.
Right, that's.
Yeah. I don't take your
I
comment insulting. No,
I appreciate that.
I understand it, because from the
I'm just
outside
trying to
looking in,
be-
you look
I'm
at
just
the
trying to look
budget,
at the
you look
numbers.
at 600 and 700 and almost 800.
Like I
And
said,
now,
it's-
the reality is, I think you're gonna see that, unfortunately, it's not even a fire thing. You're gonna see, you see it with highway, see it with the police. The budgets are going that way. That's where they're going because
Yeah.
the costs are tremendous from compared to what we
Right,
used
and
to
I think
do.
I don't know what the ratio is, but we have a lot more elderly in town.
Yep. That ambulance, I can't tell you, just this week alone, the reality is, we're not just doing 2 or 3 calls a day now. We're doing calls where we have 2 or 3 ambulance calls going on at the same time. Where we're calling other communities, and it's not like it used to be. People call us for everything now because the doctor's office is closed, pediatricians are
Yeah.
closed, we've lost Mary Lane. So we do, sadly, believe me, from my perspective, it's very frustrating. The job has changed tremendously in the last 5 years, and I'll be 100% honest about that. It's very frustrating in some ways because we love helping people and everything, but 70% of what we do is now non-emergent. I mean, we're doing so many mental health calls, we're doing so
Yeah.
many, and these were never
I know.
things that were in our wheelhouse for years. It was not, ambulances didn't transport that, you know, but now we do. So, you know, there's a lot of changes that come with that.
Like I said, I don't have an answer. I don't even know how to formulate.
Yeah.
I can't. There's not a lot I can critique here,
Yeah.
and I certainly don't have an intention to critique it, in the sense that I think you know, to me, you've been one of the department heads who's always been very conscious about the budget and been very responsible in trying to manage it, and I appreciate that. But as a member of the finance committee,
I understand. I wish I could.
I just wanted to put that on the table. And I guess there's another thing behind the scenes here too, which might be a little bit beyond the scope of our discussion here today, and it probably is, but I'll just throw it out there now that I've alluded to it, is that your insurance reimbursements and what we can do about that. I don't really expect or want an answer right now, because I know
Nothing.
it's a huge,
You can't do anything.
There's
Okay.
really nothing we
Nothing.
can do.
well,
in this
there's gotta
sense.
be something we can do about it.
Because we're 55 to 60% low to moderate incomes. Those
Yeah.
write-offs are because they're either on Medicare, Medicaid.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And they only pay so much, and the town writes the rest off. That's the
If you
bottom
were to
line.
look at, there is very little we can do, okay? And there's a couple of reasons. The main reason is because of the demographics that we deal with for the most part.
Yeah.
The problem is if you push the envelope, every once in a while, a regional study will come out and they'll say, hey, what are you charging? Hey, what are you charging? Hey, what are you charging? And most of the time, when those come back, Warren is either right at the top of your municipal, your municipal agencies that run ambulance. I always try to stay right there. The problem is that, like, for Brimfield, for an example, Brimfield is staffed by Action Ambulance. It's a private ambulance service. Brimfield, Holland, and Wales pay based on population, they pay Action Ambulance to service those three towns. There's one ambulance in town. They're in Brimfield Station, and they service Brimfield, Holland, and Wales. They charge roughly $4,000 for an ambulance trip. Okay, $4,000.
Wow.
If they show up at your door, you're gonna pay, your insurance company's gonna be billed $4,000, and they take you to hospital, and at the end of the day, we show up, we're gonna bill you about $2,000, okay? Most of the municipalities are right there, and the reason for it is because we know Brimfield doesn't care. They're a private company, it is what it is, well, you got a problem, call this 800 number, you know what I mean? But the problem is that for our communities, is that someone, especially elderly folks or something, that they get a bill in the mail that's based off, they have, their insurance pays, $1,000 of it, and they get $1,000 bill in the mail, and they come down to the station and say, how can this be? What are you gonna do? A lot of them will not say anything, and that's half the problem, and they'll cut their groceries, 3/4 in order to pay that bill, and that's not what we want. Imagine if I sent them a $4,000 bill and not a $2,000 bill. So you have to be very careful and kind of know your demographic if you're going to, there are certainly ways to increase it, but with that come other problems, and I get it. Unfortunately, I know our numbers are in line with most departments, because if I look at the write-offs that Ware does, you can take what we got
It's
and
similar.
multiply it times the double population, and you're right in the wheelhouse. So, it's based on population, it's based on call volume, it's based on the calls that we do, on a daily basis, but generally speaking, it's not a money-making game. Unless you're a private ambulance service, unless you are, and what they thrive on, these private ambulance services, is what's called medical necessity forms. Most of the time, they don't want to do 911 calls, because 911 calls brings them into a demographic where they don't like living in that, because they could have someone with no insurance, they could have someone with high-end insurance, like,
Big deductibles.
big, Fallon or something like that. They may pay $4,000 off the bat, never bat an eye on it, because the person has top-tier insurance. The problem is, when they're in the 911 system, which they hate being, they don't know. So what they do know is they're gonna get paid 100% from doctors' offices, transporting back and forth. They do know that if they get a medical necessity form from a doctor, from a hospital visit, they need to go, this person can't ambulate, they need to go from this hospital to this hospital for a specialty test and back. They're all over that, because they'll get paid top 100% all the time. So these companies, private companies, thrive off of doing the transports. It's the non-emergency stuff, because that's where the money is. That's where it is, 100% of the
QED's
time.
lowering the pay is
The
better.
rest of us live on the scraps because we cannot tell people no. We only dealing with 911 calls, and we never know who it's gonna be.
And if that issue were changed to your benefit, to benefit the town, would it do anything to this anyway?
No.
So how does that get accounted for then? Like, say your write-offs were cut in half. How does that account?
You get more revenue.
If they paid the bills, you'd get more revenue.
Well, I mean, I think.
Which would make it a lot easier to support a $900,000 budget instead
Well,
of an
but you have to
$800,000.
remember, they're two separate things, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The fire is one thing and the ambulance is the other. They're,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Because that's why they're a firefighter EMT. Basically, they're EMTs. Very seldom do we have a fire in town that they respond to a fire.
Yeah. Most of our full-time staff, 75 to 80% of what they do is EMS related.
EMS, yeah.
I mean, if you don't want to see the write-offs, we have an obligation as a town to provide an ambulance service. It doesn't say that we have to do it.
Right.
It says we can pay somebody else to do it. So if we
Yeah.
wanted to get rid of all of that and cut our budgets tremendously, you could technically do that by hiring a private ambulance service. You're just going to pay them somehow. It's still going to be
Right.
$600,000 or $800,000 or $1 million contract. It just depends on who you want to pay it to. Then they have to worry about what they're taking in, not us anymore. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
generally speaking, the fire department has never seen a revolving account, in the sense it's not a accounts receivable. It's not a enterprise. An enterprise account like the sewer department, where what they get in, they use. Okay, we don't do that. Everything
Right.
goes to the general
Because,
fund.
because it doesn't make any money.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I
So-
know Jimmy Dolan wanted to do that. He wanted to set up a receipts reserve for appropriation account.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I said about that before, and I know we talked about that, and I get it. You have your reasons. I have my, the only reason I suggested that. The only reason I suggested, at least not a full amount, like whatever the fire department takes in, the fire department. That's not what I mean. But if you wanted to look at some long-term expenditure fixes, in my opinion, one of the things you could do is if you just took a fraction of that each year of what the ambulance does come in, whatever it's $300,000, $350,000, whatever it happens to be that year, and you took a small fraction of that, even if it was 10%, over a course of 5, 6, 7 years, you would have enough to buy a new ambulance each time, and you wouldn't have to go to the town to say, can I have $400,000 for an ambulance? So there are some positive ways, and I know that, I'm saying,
Yeah, no,
all
I
I'm saying
know.
is that there are some ways that you can
Right,
take
but-
a big purchase down the road off of the taxpayer
But no,
going meeting.
But the thing is, though, you need to, look at the other aspect. Whatever, if you decide to do this, that revenue is not going to be considered on the tax rate.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay,
there's
because
give
this
and
is an
take.
estimated receipt for the town, to figure the tax rate, so I understand what he's trying to say, it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other, which way do you want to swallow
yeah,
the
yeah,
pill?
yeah.
Because then what you're doing is on your estimated receipts for the tax rate, you're losing whatever you're putting over here.
No, and she's absolutely correct, and that's why there's always a downside to doing that too,
Correct.
because again, it's not reflecting a true, you know what I mean? It depends on how you want to account for that money at the end. But generally speaking, that when it comes to the, believe me, Ray, it drives me nuts, because Medicare and Medicaid especially, like right now, we got randomly selected for a Medicare audit, Medicaid audit, okay? These things happen, it's routine. They are forcing a new license down our throat for laboratory services, for any ambulance that does like glucometers, monitors people, they consider that a laboratory service. Well, they're looking for another $300 fee to the state, and, and everything. So the agency like Medicare and Medicaid that we collect the littlest amount has so much tremendous power with the federal government and stuff that they require this nonsense for us to collect, what, $300 out of the $2,000 we bill, and then we have to pay for it over here. It's crazy to me.
Yeah. I think you do a good job, Adam. I'm not, again, nothing derogatory to you and what you're proposing. It's just more of a general lament about how expensive things are.
Yeah.
Yeah, any discussions or any questions or comments I have further than what we really have here on the table for today, we can take offline.
Yeah,
but,
no, I get it. Everything is
yeah.
way more expensive than, I mean, honestly, you know, you look at the personal protection from where I was 5 years ago. It
Yeah.
would cost me $2,000 to outfit a firefighter. 4 or 5 years later, it's now $4,000 to outfit a
Yeah.
firefighter because of this specialty stuff and the costs that go behind it. So everything has doubled and tripled in prices
Yeah.
in the last 10 years when you're talking about public safety. As soon as you put that public safety stamp on it, I don't care if it's police or fire, it doesn't matter. If it's a specialty place that makes it specifically for public safety, they've jacked the rates up by
yeah.
2 to 3 times, what it
Yeah.
used to be just a few years ago. Sadly, if you look at it, even with this increase, if not factoring that other thing, a 4.5% increase is historically actually pretty small for where the budgets have gone. So, I mean, I get it. I totally understand it. I don't take it personally. I understand it from a taxpayer and from a finance committee perspective. You just wonder where all the money's going these days. It is crazy.
And the thing that's hard is that we just don't get any new businesses in here.
Yeah.
That's Warren's downfall.
Yeah, that is
It is
100%.
major.
That is the major thing, is if we could bring in, businesses and, more housing and stuff like that, then we'd have a bigger, tax base to get the taxes off.
Right.
And
And
it's just,
I'd love to operate even from when we used to do it. I mean, there's been times we've had 4 EMTs on, and 5. Right now, we're still doing okay. But I remember when Jim Dolan was on, there was times where he had 5 people. I mean, this is the way it goes. It's up and down, and it really depends on what people's personal lives are doing. And right now, as we all know, in the last 3 years, people's personal lives have been pretty disrupted. So they're not exactly willing to do more things than they were already doing before. And this particular time is probably the worst time to manage a fire or police department right now.
but it's just not that too, even trying to get people to serve on
Well,
finance
you get it.
committee.
I mean, how long did
Or
that?
other committees,
Yeah, you can't,
people
you can't.
just, there's
can't.
just no interest.
And sadly, I'm willing to pay them a little bit to do it, and you can't get it. So, I mean, the reality is that, I know, I'm trying to get ahead of this problem, and I know what's coming. I know that, again, it's like, that phone call is only, I've told, the other board that, I said, look, if we don't start addressing this and looking at the staffing problems, okay, we don't start doing this, there's gonna be a day where I'm gonna call you up and say, hey, guess what? I don't have enough people to do this shift anymore, and I'm trying desperately to avoid that, and that's kind of where we're at this time,
And people just don't wanna do it, they got their own lives and, families.
It's not
and-
like it was in the 70s, 80s, 90s, even into the 2000s. I mean, everyone used to hang out at the fire station. It's not that way anymore. It's just not.
And the thing too, also back then, you had Wrights, which had, 500, 750, you had Perkins, and then the pump shop was probably 300 people.
Yeah.
If there was a fire, they could go from work, that's it, they're excused, off you go.
It's
I'll be
amazing to
on
me.
call. Now we don't have any business, and so there's no firefighters in town.
What's scary is you look at those numbers from the certification website and you see a population like ours, which is not a huge population, but, out of 5,000 people, you gotta figure, probably 25 to 3,000 of them are adults, somewhere in there, and factor in kids and stuff. To think that a community could only have 10 licensed EMTs sitting in there, and the thing
And also the
collectively,
age factor.
and everything, to think that, because that just shows you that other people have found other ways to make money, a lot more money than to deal with the liability and the pressure and the bad calls and everything else to come with that. It shows you that people are like, no, I'm all set, thank you. And that's why, a third of EMS providers across the country have left the profession over the last few years. It's a third of them, I mean, you know better how the healthcare world is operating right now, and
I'm part
to
of
call
that.
it a dumpster fire would be an improvement.
You hope for a dumpster fire.
Yeah, a dumpster fire would be,
That'd be
that's a good day,
that's a step up.
that's a good
That's a
day.
step
So,
up,
unfortunately, that's just the way
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, so I don't have anything to challenge you about it. It was just more of a general comment, and it's just a tough situation. My hats off to you.
No, thank you,
Okay, Adam.
thank you.
Yeah.
So I plan on proposing an article on there like we did before for, with a full-time position, on there and go from there, and we'll keep going at this. Like I said, there is an option that I've talked to Jim about, I'm hoping to talk to selectmen about. They have something called a SAFER grant. SAFER grant, we applied for through, it's a FEMA grant, and it would allow me to apply for, it's actually opening any day now, I don't think we'll do it this time around, but there is an option to apply for as many positions as you may need to get to that 8, or a community may need 10, you know. But you apply for it, and the federal government pays for the benefits and the salary for 3 years. So, and at the end of the 3 years, the town has to absorb whatever they, you know, the cost for that. But it gives you a transition time to explain it, to prepare for it, to say, okay, this year we're gonna allot this much money. So it's you know, it's a 3-year full payment, you know, thing, and that would be, you know, in my opinion, it'd be a great idea to look at something like that, where it gives us enough time to talk to the general public and say, hey, listen, this is where we're going with it. You know, we got 3 years paid for here, but we're gonna have to pick it up, and let's start planning for that thing. So a lot of it's becoming a much more popular grant nowadays, because of all the stuff that's going on with public safety.
All righty.
Okay? Thank you
Thank
very much for
you
your
very
time, I
much.
appreciate it.
Yep,
Thanks,
have a
Chief.
good one.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening.
Thank you, you as well.
Thank you.
I just wanna catch him on the way out.
All right. Now, I don't know if he's gonna update, but that's where we're gonna go next. But I wanna go back to the assessors. And I guess, Karen, you can find out this information for me, because I don't know what good a note you took when Bruce was here. But
Talk to me.
huh?
Talk to me.
The questions on these courses.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember exactly what Bruce said. He said something that these are required.
Some of them are
by-
required.
By whom?
By the state.
Okay, so what, and,
And some of them are, we have someone in there that's.
but I understand,
Okay.
okay. I would like to know, and because I'm just a stickler for money, you know that. What is required? That's
Okay.
what is required.
Okay, I'll give you the, I'll
thing
get the
is,
breakdown
no,
for
I
you.
understand, because when I look some of this stuff up, this is mostly about appraisal. And I don't know what is required for the Board of Assessors to have for appraisal.
Okay.
She's the assistant,
Mhm.
okay? And when I check these courses out, and she's got 4 of them, they're a whole week each.
Mhm.
And to me, that's a lot to
Okay,
be
I'll
out of the
find out.
office. I don't know, you know, like I said, once you find out what's required, you know, maybe we can do 1 this year, or maybe 2, and, you know, and stagger it. But to have her out of the office, or, you know, doing the classes
Mhm.
for a whole week,
Okay,
that's 4 weeks, that's
Okay.
a month.
I'll
That's
get you
what-
the specifics.
yeah, that's what I want to know. And, you know, because like I said, you know, the annual school, that's a given, and then this is part of, this HHCAA you said was part of the Massachusetts Assessors, those is generally there. This other organization, that's an international thing, so I don't know why we would be,
I will get you line by line,
yeah.
each one,
You know,
okay?
so that's that's where I'm at, so.
Okay, that's no problem.
That's just, you know, that's just myself. You know,
Yeah, okay.
and then I see he's got his selectmen, so I don't know if last week finished, because I don't know if you got the information or not.
I think they tabled it again.
Oh,
and
did
not
they?
quite. They made a little bit of progress. I think Jim had given them some updates on what the insurance rates will be. They were, if I remember correctly, they were pretty close to what had been proposed. But, I can't remember now off the top of my head why they still didn't finalize
Yeah,
it.
well, that's what I mean, we
But
can just wait, he should be
He
right
he
in.
can fill us in,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
and then, because what I want to
Did you pull
do,
the selectmen out of there?
huh?
I was asking if you pulled the selectmen out of
I
there.
hadn't, no. It's right here.
Oh,
looks like it got-
no, that's the FinCom book.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, sorry.
So that's what I'm going to do, is now that we've got, everybody's adjusted, other than the selectmen, that FinCom book, those are old numbers, so I'm gonna put all the new ones up to
Yeah.
date and stuff, and then we'll get to see all the percentages. And, what I'll try to do is, I'll come in on Friday and I'll do it. I'll make copies for you guys and I'll put it in the box, that way you
Okay.
can pick it up on Monday
Okay.
and then you can look at it and then maybe we can kind of start to wrap this up here on this.
The,
Because the only one we're waiting on that we don't have now is the Board of Selectmen, and then, like I said, and with the assessors on the classes. So,
Before Jim gets back, can we come up with a date for next week?
yeah, whatever day you want.
Well, Tuesday, I have, I think from 8:30 to 4 with the assessor's
Yep,
office.
that's fine.
Wednesday, I have, no, it's this week here, right? I have assessors at 10, town training, 12:45,
What day is that next week?
the 27th.
Yeah, he thinks I'm going.
Why do I have town meeting at 4? Does that ring a bell with anybody?
On that 27th?
Yeah. No, right? That doesn't ring a bell. I don't know what that
Town
is.
meeting's not till June,
No, I don't know what that is.
unless, I have. no
I don't know,
idea.
forget that. Let's do, can we do the 27th?
As far as I know. We'll ask
The
Jim.
town training, that whole customer relations class they want everybody to take, is from 12:45 to 2:45.
Mhm.
And we'll meet at 3:30?
That's the 27th?
on the 27th?
Mm-hmm,
That's Wednesday, right?
yes,
That's fine.
okay.
Yeah, just check with Jim to make sure, you know, but we don't need him anyway, so. Didn't say that. Don't be fresh, Madeline. So that's a plan, and then I'll put the copies in the box, and that way you can pick them up whenever you want, or whatever, and then, you know.
What do you do with the public that you need? Customer service training?
Anybody who works in the building is
Yeah,
supposed to be in this
everybody's gotta
meeting.
go, just have public service, yeah. You got a, did he get a grant for it? I think he did.
I
What-
don't know.
but
You don't
what-
know about it?
No, I know about, like, am I supposed to go?
I'm supposed to go,
Why are you supposed to go? That's what I'm asking.
Because I'm
Because
on a board.
She's on the board,
Oh.
but we don't deal with customer
You don't deal with
service.
customers,
Right.
Yeah,
I
who-
do.
Who do you deal with? that you-
assessor's office.
As the assessors, okay.
Any taxpayer that comes in and wants any information to do with their assessment,
I mean, I don't do it normally on a regular basis, Betty Jo does, but.
So you cover her sometimes?
Well, we're in there sometimes when people are
Oh,
in
I
there, so they
see.
question us, and they come to meetings a lot more than,
oh, you do,
Yeah.
you have people come to meetings?
we've had meetings, oh, yeah.
Oh, wow, that's
Yeah.
surprising, because usually there's nobody
Yeah.
before.
If there's an issue or something that's come up, and it's easier if they come and we all talk about it.
I mean, I'm not,
Opposed to it, yes,
I'm not
but yeah.
opposed to it, but
But
yeah.
you,
What, you have a life?
No, it's, no, it's, I'll
we'll just wait till after we're
I'll
done the
hold
meeting.
I'll hold my opinion about the whole
Yes.
matter anyway,
Do
because,
you know where the bathroom is out there?
Yep, it's right next door.
yeah.
Yeah, we're just waiting on Jim, so
Mhm.
that's all I'm waiting on him, and then we got the meeting, so. But, you know, I just want to update all the numbers and see where we're at, you know.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything that's, they probably already may have awareness of it, but the school did formally set their budget last night.
As what we have,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And, so that was, the full committee adopted that last night. So I believe they should send it over to you and the select board
Yeah.
this week sometime.
Yeah.
Typically, they send it right out, sort of, you know, what do they got, they
Yeah.
gotta certify it or
Yeah, they
whatever.
have to certify it, yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it goes to the selectmen or does it go to the treasurer?
I think
I think
tech-
it's the selectmen and the treasurer.
okay, yeah, selectman, treasurer, I thought maybe the finance committee was on there too.
Well, it could be, but
But,
They-
yeah,
you know.
so they should be sending that over this week.
before they couldn't find us,
And,
you know, the website for some reason, so.
just remembered a quick question I have for Jim.
Yeah. If it doesn't come pretty soon, I'm just gonna adjourn, because I'm not waiting.
Yeah, do we have anything else right now or not?
Basically, that's all
See
I
if Jim
got.
has an update. Okay.
Yeah, because I'm gonna put these in my thing and make 4 copies for the Council on Aging. I'm gonna put in the West Warren Library.
And do you know?
Those copies will be in the worksheet book, but I'll print them and I'll print the West Warren. Well, the West Warren and print library. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, on that West Warren Library, I added it up and got, give me 1 second. 121,561. 120,
Yes, he does.
121,567.
That's the total?
Yeah, so it's just slightly different, like $50, $60 different.
Which one
But
you
I have
got?
the same question
Warren?
on the West Coast,
West
cycling back to West Warren Library. Their request is $8,000 more.
Yeah, it doesn't add up.
But I don't see where that $8,000 is.
Yeah, that's what Madeline said, she was gonna get the comparison.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
So-
put this in the,
Yeah, I only got like 5.
I didn't see it
Yeah, I
either,
didn't see
yeah.
it either.
So-
She said she would
okay.
get the comparison.
you have anything for us on the selectmen?
So, last week we went over the numbers for the insurance. Did you update that on the
No,
insurance? Okay.
we did, hold on a
Did we
second.
have?
You said it
any?
would go up approximately $10,000?
Right, right.
We don't, there's no revised budget for it yet, right?
No,
Okay,
no.
So, all right, so anyways, so what we had, an adjustment in the communications, did you hear anything on that? Oh, we have that from Adam, but is that old? That's
That's
old on
old
it.
one.
Okay, so has anything changed since the last meeting?
Yes, the insurance liability had changed.
Okay,
It's definitely going up 10,000?
No.
Oh, okay.
Let me just get this for a minute. So the workers' comp is at 51,000.
51.
And the
Liability?
general liability was at 122.
So, the other thing that's on that Selectman D, streetlights, is that staying the same?
Yes,
Okay, then.
there's a
Oh.
decrease.
Huh, was that,
Bid out for streetlight maintenance.
yeah,
Last
it's
year was
from
5.
20 to 15, so it's 5,000 decrease. So then
Right, okay.
that one's all set then, Selectman D.
Right.
Okay.
Let me just. Possible adjustment on the tower lease to 3,000?
Yes, I haven't had a chance to dive into that yet, and that's on Hamden Communication,
That's on A, Selectman A.
Right.
Selectman A.
Okay.
I will have some more information probably next week sometime.
Yeah.
Okay, and the municipal software will remain at 12,225 for 5 years, right?
That is correct. However, there may be an article to adjust that for the assessors, but I don't know if we're gonna put that under the assessor's expense for the boat. That would be a modular through Vadar.
We have to do inspections, boat registrations. We have to do taxes on them.
So
We're
would that
told by
be
the state, but we don't have the
directly related to Vadar?
We don't
That
have
would be a
the,
modular,
program for it.
Yeah.
I think it's 7,500?
7,500
A year?
a year.
No, yeah, is that what it is, or 75 to add it to the program? to-
Maybe it's added to the program. I have to look into it.
I'm not sure at this point, I don't remember exactly. But unfortunately,
We found out that there are boats out there that,
The what?
there's a leasing company registering boats in town because we're not charging taxes. Small details.
Well, it says Vader, it's 7309, but they put in 243650 for 3 years.
Is that assessors?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right.
I have to call Vadar
Okay.
and see what the cost would be.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, I remember, I saw it somewhere, I was just,
Yeah.
Mhm.
that's all.
Is that a requirement by the state?
Mhm. Betty Jo found out at a meeting we weren't doing it.
Oh, really?
We weren't, the town wasn't doing it.
Uh-huh.
All right, so then, so that's all we're waiting on is the IT.
IT, yep, we're having 2 companies come in this week to the selectmen's meeting to make presentations. Hopefully, the selectmen will be able to make a determination
What is that on?
on managed IT services.
Annual,
There's a potential option that could potentially save some money.
and the other thing was just Hamden Communication, and the police, the regional dispatches fine, 147.3.
147.3.
Or 117, I got a line through there, so.
Okay.
I have to-
117.3. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. This is the last year that we're going to be getting the assessment grant. We're getting 25% now. We used to get 50.
Okay.
So this is the last year of the grant. So we the following years, we're probably going to be more towards the 150, 160 range
Mhm.
for regional dispatch,
Mm-hmm.
because we're in the last year of the grant.
What is, did we ever get the correct number for regional dispatch where the 79,000 was in there? To determine that was not a correct number?
It's 129,741. That's what it'll be on when I
41.
when
Thank
I
you.
print it. That's what it was last year. That's what was voted on the town meeting.
Okay. So for 23 and 24, it was the same number?
Yes, but we received a
The
grant
grant on top of it?
on top
Okay.
of it.
Mhm.
And there was an article at town meeting to redirect some of that money to, I think, the fire department for the radio tower infrastructure project to offset some of the costs there. So we didn't pay 129,
Okay.
you know.
Oh, so that's why you, okay.
I think we paid somewhere around 79. So
Okay.
the $50,000 difference was redirected at town meeting
To the fire department.
to the fire department.
Okay? Anything else?
That's about it. Does FinCom have any more departments they're gonna be calling in? or-
Nope.
Nope?
Nope.
Okay.
Is this me or you? That's me.
What's that?
I said,
That's
this
all
is me,
yours.
right?
That's
Okay.
all yours, yeah.
You know, I'm going
There was an updated budget from the sewer.
I don't have an updated
It
budget.
just
for
came
this
out
one.
today.
I haven't. Don't have
Okay.
it. You'll have to bring it or give it to me.
Lisa can give it to you tomorrow.
Well, she better bring it. I'm not going looking for it.
Mhm.
She can't make Tuesday next week. Do you have capital planning next week, or you go every other week, or how's your capital planning work?
Well, I think we're gonna be going, now that we get everything back, I think we're gonna be going every week.
Well, you can meet downstairs.
What?
If you meet next Wednesday,
Uh-huh.
we're gonna be here, FinCom.
I can't
Well-
make next Tuesday.
She
Oh,
can't-
okay, all right,
She
all
can't
right,
be
all right.
next, that's
Well,
why.
you can't meet because Ray's on capital planning. You wouldn't have a
Could-
quorum,
On Wednesday?
unless we do capital planning after FinCom, or before. Or we could do capital planning on Tuesday possibly.
We could do that. Just flip.
Well, just let me know,
Yeah.
whatever you,
Mhm.
what you find out.
Okay.
We haven't set a capital planning meeting for next Wednesday,
Yeah.
but we could do it Tuesday instead, maybe.
Yeah.
Or we can move it to Thursday,
When is your, what time were you gonna do it on Wednesday?
3:30.
3:30.
Okay. Could we meet after the meeting of capital planning, or do you have,
We could.
okay?
It shouldn't be a long meeting, should it?
No, I'm just gonna be giving
The updates.
the updates on that. She's gonna find out about the assessors, and if the selectmen finally have an answer on their, whatever they got outstanding, that's it, because I'm gonna update the book, and I'm gonna make copies with everybody's budget. So,
What was the timing for the training next Wednesday?
1 o'clock.
12:45 to 2:45.
You
1
want,
o'clock, yeah.
you want to meet at 3 then, or is that,
Oh, that's pushing it, I don't know.
well, do you,
Why,
do you expect your
meeting's over at
training?
2:45, you think it's gonna go late?
It's a 2-hour meeting.
Yeah, 12:45 to 2:45.
Yeah, well, 12:45 is when we're closing the building. The
Oh,
meeting starts at 1,
so it's 1
Oh,
to 3.
okay,
1 to 3, yeah.
okay. I was just thinking, just have the meeting at 3 or
Yeah.
3:15. We could still do capital planning next Wednesday
Yeah.
if you want.
Well,
After,
What
Why don't we
time's-
just,
what time does your capital planning meet?
We can meet afterwards.
Well, what time is,
but-
because you have to let everybody else know.
we
It's a-
typically do 4,
Okay, so we can meet at 3:15
3:15.
Mm-hmm.
on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that basically, that's it. I'll update, print everybody a new thing there. And the only one that'll be in question is, well, the assessors, but I'll update what I have in there.
Yeah,
You know,
I'll get
if-
it back
If this
before.
has changed, and so that's the only two things we're gonna be waiting on is that, and then the selectmen, and then we'll talk about going over and voting to, that. I know he wants to get some revenue numbers. So, that's a question that I have. What exactly are you looking for?
As far as revenue?
Yeah.
I'm not even sure I know what to, just that everything looks okay, that we have the revenue to support all
But see, that's what you have to understand, okay? And this
Yeah,
is what,
that's-
okay,
okay.
this is what I,
Teach me.
okay. So what we can look at is estimated revenue. That's
Right.
all you can do
Mhm.
is
Makes
estimate.
sense.
Sure,
Okay,
sure.
because what happens on the tax rate recap? You have your cherry sheet numbers.
Yep.
Okay. You have your indirect costs, which we don't even know what those are, or we do from last year. So we have that number from the sewer department. They have to pay us. And then what we think we're going to get. And they're all estimated
Mhm.
Right.
to June 30th. Okay, so what happens is, you get to the tax rate recap, and, you can start it in October, November, whatever. So, all you do is estimate what you have. And then the balance goes to real estate and personal property tax. We don't say, okay, we're gonna tax $8 million. It doesn't work out that way.
Yeah,
You take all the estimate, and what's left is what the difference is between the budget.
right.
That's what I'm saying. So it's hard to, you know what I'm saying? Because whatever gets voted on, town meeting, omnibus, and any other articles, okay, that's the magic number that we have to come up with, less what we anticipate.
Right.
So we can come up with some estimated numbers, and then the balance is against that. But it's way too early, my opinion, to say, okay, because we don't know what the other articles are. We don't know if those new police officer, the new fire department's going to go through. And if there's any other articles that are gonna be raised and appropriate, we don't know how much that is.
Right.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
But that's on the expense side. If there's,
But it all comes into, it all goes into play to figure
no, I
out the
understand.
total.
Yeah,
Yeah. So we can say, okay, so far for estimated receipts from last year, we've received X amount of dollars.
right,
But you don't know till after June 30th, or
Right.
technically after July 15th, what you're gonna get for estimated revenue. So you don't know next year, is it going up or is it going down? You don't know until you do get the final numbers.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Just like motor vehicle is one of the biggest estimated receipts. The commitment just went out. She's gonna start collecting now. So if I went down and said to Carrie, okay, what do you got for motor vehicle? She'd probably tell me $25,000, but she sent out bill, you see what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Right.
saying, is that,
Yeah.
So
But-
you have to
but-
do like projections.
Sure.
Yeah, makes
Right.
sense.
So for example, if,
The last 3 years, you've collected
Right.
$90,000.
Right.
Well, there's unless there's a big dip in the economy,
Right.
you're gonna collect somewhere around that figure.
that's what I'm getting at. We're on track. Last quarter, there was no noticeable lack of receipts. You know, people coming in saying, listen, I just don't have the money because COVID or what, you know, I lost my job or anything like that. There's no dramatic variance from that. We're on track. And so you estimate, you project that we're gonna have this estimated amount, you know, the projected amount will come in. That's all I'm looking for. I'm not, I know you
Well,
can't
that's
give
what
me, I know you can't give me hard
I'm
numbers.
gonna do a
but-
little bit of an analysis, and I think it will help you see that picture.
Yeah, okay.
so what we'll do is, because it's gonna take a little bit of time to get that, so we will just, we'll just have a real quick meeting. I'll get the new updated on that, we'll get the answers from the assessors, and then, we'll just have that, and then until we get the revenue numbers, and then we'll have a meeting. Depends on when we get the revenue stuff together, so that's the 27th, you know, the 3rd, or the 2nd or the 9th of April, and then we'll just wrap everything up then.
Okay. And we're still on for meeting with selectmen that Saturday near the end of April, right?
27.
The 27th, was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Do you want me to send them a memo, or did you tell them?
I did tell them.
Okay.
You're more than welcome. I said 9. They said, well, we thought it was 10. I believe it was 9.
But doesn't
I
it
have
just-
down as 9.
Okay.
We always, yeah, it's always been fine.
I
So,
don't know if I put it in or not.
I'm anticipating, you know, there's gonna be some articles on it at the annual and the special. I don't think that there's gonna be a ton, but I think that there's gonna be some. We sent out a memo to all the departments, asking them to have them ready for April 2nd by noon. So if
To
you
have
meet,
what ready?
the articles.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
So if the board is gonna be meeting on April 2nd, I should have a better idea as to where we are with the articles, and hopefully you can start
Okay.
reviewing them and making your recommendations.
You want to put on the calendar, April 2nd?
I don't really care.
Okay. You good with that?
You're
April
reviewing
2nd,
the
that's
articles,
fine.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're reviewing articles,
Yeah.
yeah. Yep. So, other than that, any other questions?
Nope.
Somebody want to make a motion to adjourn at 5:05?
Make a motion that we adjourn at 5:05.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.